and the fact you're in 78 countries now, that's 40 years worth of hard work, and it didn't just start today or in the last week. So people tend to know what happens in your footy career and exactly what goes on, and know a lot of detail about you because it's all in the papers now and in the media, but they don't tend to know the story before that. So just like Valiani's, my stories are one, like most of you here, building your own businesses and your own companies, your own identities and your own careers. And for me, I grew up in Geelong, which is about an hour down the highway, for those of you who aren't from here. And for me, down in Geelong, growing up like any kid, I wanted to play AFL footy, probably like these two young fellas here wanted to play AFL footy. That was my dream, that was the thing I wanted to do. And the first opportunity came with tryouts for a team called the Geelong Falcons. So as a 14-year-old, I got an invite, got a letter in the mail, very excited, went down there and went through all the training process of trying to make the team. Got every sort of week, six or eight guys that get cut until they keep whittling away the squad. And I got to the very last cut and I was one of the ones cut. So obviously I was pretty disappointed, but went back to my footy club, St Joey's, and kept working and got invited again the next year. And again went through the whole process and got to the end and got cut. As a 16-year-old, they invited me back to the under-18s this time and went through the whole process and got right to the end and got cut. As a 17-year-old, I don't know why they kept inviting me back. They brought me back and went through the whole process. This time for under-18s is a lot higher level, so you're there for a lot longer, and I was doing pretty well. Got to the practice matches and got a knee in the back and broke a vertebrae in my back, so I was out for 5 months. So I got cut. They invited me back again once I came back from injury. The second half of the year I came out to St Joseph's and was lucky enough to play under-18s premiership, and then from there I got invited back down as an 18-year-old for the Falcons, and again went through the whole process, 5th time, and I made the squad, and that's a squad of about 40 players, and from there you obviously pick 22 who represent the team every week. So I managed to play every game that year, had a really good year, and all of a sudden this dream of playing AFL footy started to look like it might be a bit of a reality. We had a pretty good team for those who are from Australia, understand. We had Gary Ablett, Jimmy Bartel, Luke Hodge, Matt Maguire, Brent Maloney. We had 13 guys go from a under-18 junior footy club to an AFL list, which is just outrageous really. We didn't win the premiership, we never made the grand final, so I guess that shows that a team of champions are a champion team. We just weren't quite good enough. But I received the award for the best player across final series, which a lot of the draft, a lot of the recruiters really look for, because if you can perform on the big stage, you tend to be someone they really want. So I started to get interviews. They'd come and sit down with my family and start interviewing me and try and find out a lot about me. They were interviewing my principal at school, my school teachers. Obviously they've got to invest a lot of money in you, so they did everything they could to find out about me. Don't know what they found out that wasn't good enough, because I didn't get drafted. But the next day after the draft, I had 8 clubs ring me up out of the 16 at the time and asked me to come and train for a rookie list position with them, which is like almost a reserve player. So in the end, out of those 8 clubs, I chose to go to Port Adelaide. So given the reasons behind that were, number one, as an 18-year-old kid, to show I was prepared to leave home and move away from my family to move interstate and chase an AFL dream, just showed how committed I was and what it meant to me. And the second thing was we sort of analysed their list and looked at it and thought, no, they need to bring in some young defenders, which is obviously my position. So went across there. I walked in the first minute of the place, met the coach. They sent me off with a doctor because I'd had a groin injury and that I'd been carrying, so I hadn't missed any games with it. I gave him the scans on it. The doctor said, "You've got osteitis pubis, we won't be picking you." Well, what do you mean? I ended up picking you. There was 8 of you and I picked you. And you're telling me now it's all over, I'm supposed to be here for a week. He said, oh, it was an injury, a groin injury, and they didn't know how to treat it. At the time, osteitis pubis was something that was feared. So I managed to convince him to let me stay for the week. I said, all right, you're not going to pick me. You've done the flights, the accommodation, all that. Just let me stay and experience it. In the back of my mind, I was thinking, I'll prove them wrong. I'll still do something and they'll pick me anyway. But I had a great week just watching the Corns brothers and Treadray and Primus and all these guys who are established players, just watching how they went about it, how they trained, how they did their weights. And I came back, rang the Hawthorn Football Club, and they were one of the other 8, and I said, this is what's happened. They said, well, come and train with us. So I went down there. My good mate Luke Hodge was there. He'd just been drafted there, and he had the same injury that I did. So it didn't hold any fear for the club at the Hawthorn Footy Club. So I was there for about 3 weeks. I got to the day before the rookie draft, and I sat down with the recruiting manager, and they said, well, there's 4 players and 2 spots. They said, in order, we rate you John Baird, Nick Stone, myself, and Michael Georgiadis. So out of the 4 of us. They said, if what we think is going to happen, we think the Kangaroos are going to get John Baird before we actually get a pick. If that happens, obviously we'll look at Stone and yourself. And if it doesn't, then Baird and Stone are our priority. So I left there excited and confident, and I mean, they usually know what's going to happen at the top of the draft. So the Hawthorn Footy Club went through, and the Kangaroos picked John Baird, like they said, and Hawks picked Nick Stone, and then they skipped me and went to Michael Georgiadis.